What's going on, everyone? GoodMicWork commentaries back at you. Happy WrestleMania 35 week to everyone out there. This is going to be your full WrestleMania 35 predictions podcast. In addition to WrestleMania 35, I'm also going to predict the NXT TakeOver show that comes to us this coming Friday, and I will also preview and touch on the Hall of Fame, and we'll give the entire weekend kind of a little preview and discussion here. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm going to try to roll through these predictions as quickly as possible because I've had videos out the ass on my channel all week long. It's been very fun. I kicked off the week on Monday with a really fun April Fool's video, and then on Tuesday and Wednesday I released a couple of watch-alongs. One of them was the WrestleMania 20 main event, Triple H versus Benoit versus Michaels, and the other one was the Bret Hart-Steve Austin submission match from WrestleMania 13. So if you would like to check out any of those videos, they will be in the top right-hand corner there on the screen. You can also check out my top 10 WrestleManias video that I also released a couple of weeks ago in the spirit of WrestleMania season. So a whole bunch of WrestleMania-related content is currently up on my channel, and there will be more to come. Tomorrow night after NXT TakeOver, I will be up here live streaming after the show. We'll discuss it and have a good old time. And then on Saturday, you're going to get another watch-along released on the channel. And then, of course, this coming Sunday for WrestleMania, I will be live streaming my reaction to the entire show, minus the kickoff. I will not be up here for the kickoff, but as soon as the main card starts, just head on over to my YouTube channel, and I'll be up live watching the entire show. And then after WrestleMania, I'm going to come up with a completely separate stream and review the show. So it's going to be a very long day of sitting in front of the camera on Sunday, but I think it's going to be fun. Since we are in the middle of WrestleMania season and the audience on a lot of my videos might be larger than normal, I would like to please ask everyone to subscribe if you have not yet already. I have got a really fun YouTube channel where I do reviews and podcasts and live streams. It's a hoot. So make sure if you're stumbling across one of my videos for the first time, you stick around and subscribe. Also, I would really appreciate a like. If you could go down below, take the 1 second it takes to smash that like button, I would greatly appreciate it because all of that stuff helps with the growth of the channel. I'm also going to be very vocal and very active on Twitter this week, so shoot me a follow at GoodMicWork over on Twitter. If you would like to download these predictions in podcast form, you can do that on my website, GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com. You can catch me on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify as well if you prefer to listen to me somewhere other than YouTube. Also, check the description below. It is loaded with all of the links you will need and a lot of videos and a lot of playlists and all sorts of general information about the channel can be found right below. So with that being said, let's get right into what we're going to discuss today because I don't have a whole lot of time. I want to try to run through these predictions quickly, and I don't want to talk for over an hour because WrestleMania is coming up in just a couple of days, and this podcast is going to be obsolete. Very quickly, however, I do want to mention, because a lot of you are asking me about it, and I've only talked about it briefly in a couple of my live streams, and I don't know when I will get a chance to talk about it again because I don't plan on coming up here for a podcast episode until after the entire WrestleMania 35 weekend, probably like next Wednesday. But everybody wants my thoughts on the John Oliver segment that aired a few days ago on his HBO show last week tonight, where he really took WWE to task for a lot of things. Now, full disclosure, I am a big John Oliver fan. I don't watch that much TV. I certainly don't watch hardly any late night talk shows at all. I don't really watch Kimmel or Fallon or any of those guys, but I do watch some of the HBO stuff, and I've always been a fan of John Oliver's show, and I think the guy is absolutely brilliant. Now, what he talked about in his piece, his like 25-minute long piece on WWE, was honestly stuff that we as fans have already known. Like, we have known about these issues for a long time. We have heard about them for years. All of the crazy shit that WWE gets away with, and the big one being able to basically call their employees independent contractors, which relieves WWE of their responsibility to provide health insurance and long-term care and things like that. He really touched on a lot of shit about Vince McMahon, went after Vince McMahon hard, even played the clip on Monday Night Raw where Vince McMahon used the N-word, which is still incredibly hard to watch, and really painted the WWE in kind of a bad light, but I don't think he went overboard. And I mentioned in my last live stream that what John Oliver did sounded to me like he's just concerned. He's trying to draw attention to some of these issues. He is a huge wrestling fan. In between all of his trashing of the WWE and Vince McMahon, he would go on to talk about how great wrestling is, showing clips and how wonderful it is and what a huge fan he is and how unbelievably entertained he is by professional wrestling. This is not a situation like Phil Mushnick back in the day, who had this one-man vendetta against not only WWE but professional wrestling, and he wanted to abolish the professional wrestling industry outright. He didn't even want it to exist. I don't think that was John Oliver's intention here. And he even acknowledged that they have made a lot of changes internally in their company over the years. So they have done a lot to protect the welfare of the wrestlers. And I think if John Oliver, where he might be a little bit inaccurate, is that if he's trying to portray WWE as not giving a shit about the wrestlers at all, that is definitely not the case. There are definitely plenty of stories where wrestlers have been well taken care of, or Vince or the company has shown a kind heart in certain situations. They've reached out and helped people plenty of times. It's not like they truly treat the wrestlers like circus animals, which is what Bret Hart said on the John Oliver show, because they showed a clip of an interview conducted with Bret Hart just days after the Montreal Screwjob. It was featured in Wrestling with Shadows. So clearly Bret Hart wasn't in the greatest of moods that day. You know, that was just a few days after he got royally fucked over by Vince McMahon. If you ask him this now, Bret probably has similar opinions, just maybe not that harsh. So I think some of the clips and the interviews and the examples that the John Oliver show was using were a little bit dated. But for the most part, the accuracy was pretty right on. He wasn't right about everything. I didn't even understand the Roman Reigns joke at all. I enjoyed the fact that he called out Vince McMahon and the WWE over their treatment of Roman Reigns and how they insist on cramming him down everybody's throats as a babyface, even though all of the fans hate him. The pedophile joke I didn't get, but whatever. Overall, I thought the piece was more positive than negative, and overall, I really enjoyed the piece, and I'm glad that John Oliver is bringing attention to this because it is fucked up. It's been fucked up for a long time. We've talked about this. You know, think about all the fans who were boycotting the Saudi Arabia events. I actually feel guilty that I didn't boycott the one last year. Even though I did take the small amount of ad revenue I made and donated it to charity, it still didn't feel right, and I probably will not review this one at all because it is fucked up. But that's only one of many fucked up things in the company. And a lot of people say that it was very negative. WWE even issued a statement saying that John Oliver fears facts and he didn't, it was one-sided and all of this. And yeah, it probably was one-sided because these are the things he wants to talk about. He could easily do a show next week where he talks about all the positive things about WWE, which there are a plethora of. It is possible to have good and bad things about a company. A company doesn't have to be all good and a company doesn't have to be all bad. Just like Vince, even though he's done some really, really, really ridiculously jaw-dropping fucked up things in his life, he has also done a lot of good. And he has also been a mentor and a father figure to many wrestlers, and he's always had a kind and generous heart in some cases, you know, and then in other cases, he's a cutthroat, evil bastard. And you are more than welcome to hit me with your opinions on this in the comments below. But so many of you wanted me to talk about it, I figured this was my only chance. So, now that that's out of the way, we can talk about WrestleMania 35 weekend. I am excited. My favorite time of year. I love just spending a couple of weeks a year just really immersed in wrestling. I'm finding myself watching a lot of past WrestleManias and reminiscing and doing videos and talking to all of you on social media and live streams. It's just an overall fun time of year and a celebration of professional wrestling, and I'm holding out hope that this is a really fun weekend. Let's start with Friday night, NXT TakeOver. We'll go ahead and predict that. Then we'll talk about the Hall of Fame on Saturday, and then we will move in to WrestleMania. I decided to change up the order a little bit since the NXT TakeOver show is technically first. So on Friday, we've got a 5-match card for TakeOver. Every single one of these matches looks like a barn burner. I fucking can't wait. Let's start off with the NXT Tag Team titles. War Raiders defending against Aleister Black and Ricochet. How about these guys getting 3, count them, 3 title shots in the span of 6 days? So what I think is going to happen here, or what I think should happen, is that if Aleister Black and Ricochet fall short on all 3 of these title opportunities, they need to split up. I've been very vocal that although I like the team of Black and Ricochet, I don't understand why they're together. To me, it seemed lazy for WWE to bring up these 2 guys from NXT, and they can't be bothered to think of things individually for them to do. They got to slap them together and make them a team. They were also in the Dusty Classic, which they won, and they are a great team. but to me, they don't match. To me, these guys are money in the singles division. I can see Aleister Black on SmackDown challenging for the WWE title, and I can see Ricochet on Raw challenging for the IC. I don't think they really make a team that I want to see stay together for a long time. I don't mind the temporary alliance, but I don't want to see this continue, and I'm not really sure if I want to see them win any tag team gold. So if you are going to split them up, you have to have a reason to split them up. No better reason than falling short on 3 title matches in 6 days. So if they fall short here at NXT at TakeOver, and then the next night they fall short at WrestleMania, maybe you do the split at WrestleMania, or you do it the next night on TV on Raw or SmackDown. But I'm going to go ahead and predict the War Raiders to retain here, given the fact that Black and Ricochet are getting all of these title matches. It makes me think they're going to lose them all. I don't know why I think that, I just do. So the War Raiders, I say, retain the NXT Tag Team titles. We've got Pete Dunne, from what I understand, defending the UK title against Walter. When I went to WWE.com, they do not have this match worded like a title match. Even on the header, it just says NXT Champion Pete Dunne versus Walter. It doesn't say NXT UK Championship on the line, but I'm pretty sure that this is a title match. So if I'm stupid, please let me know in the comments below if I'm wrong about this. But from what I understand, this is a title match, and I'm going to predict an upset here. I'm going to go Walter. Pete Dunne has held that title for a long time. I think it's great. I love Pete Dunne. He's one of my favorite wrestlers in the entire world right now. But he's had that belt for a while, you know. And Walter, I've mentioned that I'm concerned if this guy makes it to the main roster, that Vince McMahon isn't going to understand him, and he's going to turn into Vladimir Kozlov, or he's going to turn into what Braun Strowman is currently turning into right now. So this is his big first match. Title is on the line. It's WrestleMania weekend. Crazy shit always happens. I say slap the title on Walter. And plus, Walter was my grandfather's name, and it's my father's middle name, so I kind of want to root for him for that reason as well. We also have the NXT Women's title on the line. Shayna Baszler is defending the title in a fatal 4-way against Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane. I, months out, had envisioned Shayna Baszler holding on to the NXT title until WrestleMania weekend at TakeOver, but since this is a fatal 4-way, I'm not so sure. I think it would be a great way to take the belt off of her while keeping her strong if they want to have somebody else eat the pin here and win the title, and then Baszler can go on to the main roster after WrestleMania if she's going to be mixed up with Ronda Rousey and the 4 Horsewomen. If any of that stuff starts happening after WrestleMania, I think you need to get Baszler to the main roster, so you might want to have her drop it here. But given the fact it's a fatal 4-way, I don't know, it's just not my favorite match to see a champion that's had a run that's lasted quite a while. It's not how I particularly prefer to see them drop the belt, so I'm going to go Baszler to retain. I might be in the minority on that, but I think I would just rather have her lose it one-on-one. It's just a personal preference of mine, so in this situation, I think I would like to see Shayna Baszler retain. We have Velveteen Dream defending the North American title against Matt Riddle. I am a huge Matt Riddle fan. I think this guy has superstar potential. I'm not saying he's going to be one of the greatest of all time, but I do think the potential is there. And I also don't know if this might be a little bit too early for him. Dream just won that belt not long ago as well, and Dream has been very well liked and respected by the audience. Everybody wants to see him get a main roster call-up at some point, so maybe this is the opportunity to do that, pass the title off to Riddle, and you can move up Velveteen Dream, or Riddle comes up short, and he challenges for the NXT title down the road. But considering that I want big things for Matt Riddle, I think I'm going to predict him to win the North American title here. I feel uncomfortable about this. I feel like I could be wrong. I feel like Dream could score a win here, and then maybe the two have a rematch or something like that. But given the high hopes I have for Matt Riddle and his career, I think I would like to see him grab the belt here and beat Velveteen Dream, and maybe we can get a Dream call-up during the Superstar Shake-Up or something like that. So I'm going to go Riddle to win the North American title over Velveteen Dream. And finally, the main event, 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT Championship, Johnny Gargano against Adam Cole. I'm going Gargano. I think the plan here was to give Gargano this victory all along before Tommaso Ciampa got injured. I think they were trying to position Gargano to finally win the big one at TakeOver. And between the two, if I would like to see one be called up, and yes, I know like 5 people told me this on my live stream. I know Gargano has technically already been called up. He came up with Ciampa, but we haven't seen him on TV very much. I would like to see him win the NXT title, and then maybe Adam Cole get called up to the main roster. I think Adam Cole and Velveteen Dream and maybe Shayna Baszler on the women's side would be excellent call-ups after WrestleMania. So if you give Gargano the match here and Cole is pretty much just a placeholder for Tommaso Ciampa, I think that might be the way to go. And I think Johnny Gargano has earned his run with the NXT title. Cole, I think, can live without it. Cole has also had singles championship gold in NXT already, and I think they're going to move him up sooner rather than later. So I'm going to predict Gargano to win 2 falls to 1 against Adam Cole. Would be very surprised if the winner of this thing took 2 falls in a row. I expect the match to be an absolute goddamn thing of beauty. We know it will be, and I cannot wait to watch it. I will be live tweeting all during NXT TakeOver on Twitter, so make sure you follow me, and then after TakeOver, I will be up here live streaming, just like I said. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame before we start predicting WrestleMania. The Hall of Fame, of course, is Saturday night. The entire class of 2019 is now set. We have the Hart Foundation, Harlem Heat, Torrie Wilson, Honky Tonk Man, D-Generation X, a Warrior Award recipient, and last but not least, announced by WWE on social media this past Monday, Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake. Had a feeling Brutus was going in. We heard the rumors of that, especially with Hogan being talked about for WrestleMania 35 weekend. He seems like a likely inductor for Brutus. And there's also some talk that the Hall of Fame might be a little bit different this year. If you notice, there is no celebrity induction. This seems to me like a small class. And there's also been talk about maybe WWE removing inductors and just producing video packages to introduce all of the Hall of Fame inductees and trying to cut down the length of some of these Hall of Fame speeches. So they might be trying to streamline the Hall of Fame a little bit, and I do know that it can get very long. We've had some incredibly long Hall of Fames throughout the years and some really, really long speeches, and I know sometimes it can get a little bit annoying, but you know what? I actually don't care. You know, it's one of my favorite nights of the year. I love the Hall of Fame. I don't care when the inductors or the inductees go a little bit overboard in their speeches. It really doesn't bother me. I just kind of like basking in all of it. And to me, it's all part of the weekend. And for me personally, the long Hall of Fames, while long, while grueling, and while I feel sympathy for all of the wrestlers that have to sit there for 6-7 hours in that chair when they have a big match the next day, I still don't mind it when it goes a long time because I really enjoy the Hall of Fame. So it looks like this one will be a little bit shorter. Will be interesting to see what kind of a format they do and what kind of changes they make on Saturday. And again, I will be up here live tweeting throughout the Hall of Fame. No live stream that night. I was originally going to live stream my reaction to the Hall of Fame, or not live react to it, but do a live review, I should say, of the Hall of Fame. But since I'm already streaming after TakeOver and I'm going to be streaming all day on Sunday, I thought doing a Saturday stream would be a little bit too much, so you guys are going to get a watch along instead, so stay tuned for that. Now we can move into WrestleMania 35 and predict this entire card. 15 matches currently announced on WWE.com, with some more potentially to be announced last minute. We have some big time names absent from this card. Something could happen with a John Cena or an Undertaker or a Kevin Owens or a Rock or any number of guys that are kind of absent or rumored to be involved at WrestleMania. Even Elias has been teasing a big segment where he's going to do some sort of a concert and nobody's going to interrupt him, so you know something's going to happen there. I think that would be a great opportunity to bring out The Rock and have Elias and The Rock sing together, maybe even an impromptu match like The Rock had with Eric Rowan a few years ago. But you know what that means. If that happens, Elias is going to go down. But whatever Elias does, you know something big is going to happen there, and whatever it is, I just hope it's good. I think Alexa Bliss might be setting up to have a big segment as well, because if you noticed on SmackDown, she was out there making matches. She came out there to announce the SmackDown Tag Team title Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania. So WWE is trying to tell you that Alexa Bliss, I guess because she is the host, she has matchmaking authority. I wasn't aware that was a rule. But if she does have that authority to make some matches, you know she's going to do that at WrestleMania. She will interrupt some match. Maybe she will insert herself into the Battle Royal and win it. Maybe she will insert herself into the main event. I don't think she would do that. I don't think WWE is going to fuck up that main event any more than they already have. But she definitely will probably do something. Otherwise, why would she be out there on SmackDown making matches? I think they're setting us up for something there. But as far as the card goes, let's start on the bottom. Buddy Murphy defending defending against Tony Neese. Now, Murphy's been on a hell of a roll, and I've been predicting him to retain at every single pay-per-view he's had. And I said around the beginning of the year that the earliest I think Buddy Murphy should be dropping that belt is during WrestleMania weekend. And here we are. Tony Neese has been with the company since the 205 Live brand was launched, and maybe now is the time. Kickoff match, though, the crowd isn't going to be fully in the arena yet. Sometimes these kickoff matches can be a little bit of a letdown, but if you want to do a title change and you want to pop the audience or something, maybe this is your chance to do it. So I'm going to just go out on a limb and predict Tony Neese to upset Buddy Murphy and win the Cruiserweight Championship. Let's move on to the Women's Battle Royal now. Now, this could be anybody's game, but considering what happened to Asuka on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago, her dropping the SmackDown title to Charlotte, she is now in this Battle Royal, and I don't see how you have anyone other than her win this thing. I mean, poor Asuka. It's a shame what wound up happening to her. If she's now in this Battle Royal and gets tossed out, shit, man. What the hell are you doing? I know a lot of fans might instinctively say, oh, give this Battle Royal to somebody who needs it, or a younger person like a Nikki Cross or a Lacey Evans or some shit like that. And I understand that mentality completely. And if Asuka was not in this Battle Royal, I would definitely want one of those ladies to win it. But at the end of the day, the winner of this Battle Royal doesn't really mean a whole lot anyway. If it doesn't go to somebody who needs a good victory or needs a boost, it probably in the long run isn't going to matter. And Asuka got so royally fucked over with her SmackDown Women's title that I would have her win this Battle Royal, and I would have her be the first challenger to the winner of the main event. And if it is Becky, that can be Becky's first title defense against Asuka, and Asuka holds a victory over Becky, a clean one at that, from the Royal Rumble, and that could be Becky's first challenger. That might be a good first pay-per-view match for Becky. It would also be babyface versus babyface, and I'm wondering if WWE maybe turns Asuka heel. The only problem with an Asuka heel turn, that is that we already have a lot of heels, and if Becky is a super over babyface, you need another strong babyface on the roster because Ronda and Charlotte are heels, and Asuka is that person. But WWE might also want to slowly start transitioning Charlotte back to being a babyface. I know that sounds crazy, but if Charlotte comes up short in the main event as well, and then Becky winds up facing Asuka, maybe you can slowly start turning Charlotte babyface on the other side. Maybe she can cut a promo on SmackDown, and then she's interrupted by some heel. I don't know, could be anybody, any heel who needs a boost, and gives shit to Charlotte for coming up short on the main event. Here you thought you were the queen and that nobody could touch you and that you were unstoppable and so decorated, and you were a loser at WrestleMania. You lost and all that shit, And then Charlotte can kick her ass, and the two of them will have a little singles feud while Becky and Asuka do their thing for the title. Just a thought. None of that will probably even happen if WWE goes with the Four Horsewomen storyline, but all of that shit was running through my mind when I was trying to determine who I was going to have win this Battle Royal. So I'm going to predict Asuka to win this thing at the end of the day. We also have another Battle Royal with the men. The men's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This thing's value has been diminished since the minute they started it at WrestleMania 30. Every year has just been a fucking joke. That trophy looks like a giant statue of cheese. I don't really care who wins. It's probably going to be designed to be some sort of a comedy bit because we have Braun Strowman and the Weekend Update guys from SNL actually in this Battle Royal. So it's going to come down to them. Either Strowman's going to throw both of them out, or they're going to eliminate Strowman. I think Strowman would be the likely favorite to win this, but I'm also wondering if the SNL guys screw him over somehow. I'm also wondering if we get some sort of a debut. There's only 26 names announced for this Battle Royal. We might get somebody else like Lars Sullivan, who has been rumored to kind of be back in contact with WWE. Apparently he did seek treatment for whatever mental health issues he was having, and he kind of is back in the fold, and we should expect to see him soon. And there have even been some rumors that WWE might debut him at WrestleMania. Maybe he still comes out and attacks John Cena. That was the original match that was rumored. Maybe they find a way to get Sullivan and Cena involved together, but what I'm thinking might happen at the end of this thing is that Braun Strowman and the SNL guys wind up friends. They wind up on the same side at the end of it, so that might be a good way to bring Lars Sullivan in. But then you've got him in a feud with Braun Strowman, which I don't think is a very good idea because you don't want anybody to make Lars Sullivan look small when he first gets there. This guy needs to be a monster, an ass-kicking machine, and the last thing I think you want to do creatively is put him in the ring with somebody who is twice his size. But it was an idea of something to do with Lars Sullivan. But you know who I'm going to pick to win this Battle Royal? A random-ass name. I'm looking at the field now for the Battle Royal, and I'm like, who's going to win this thing, and who really cares who wins, right? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I'm not going to pick Strowman. You know who I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with Apollo Crews. He's just a random name on the roster. Fans like him. He's a babyface. I think he would get a good crowd reaction if he won. It would be a nice little feather in his cap, even though it's a meaningless feather. It still is a feather at the end of the day, so it might be a nice victory to give to him. Bobby Roode and Chad Gable are also in the Battle Royal. I've been smelling a split between them for quite a while. They teased that again on Monday Night Raw, so I think one of them eliminates the other. That's something that I will predict right now. Either Roode tosses out Gable, or Gable tosses out Roode. Other than that, Strowman's going to be fucking around with the SNL guys. We might get a surprise entrant here or there, but I think when the dust settles, Apollo Crews is going to wind up being your winner for this thing. Let's talk about the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line. Match made by Alexa Bliss on SmackDown this past week. Usos to defend in a fatal four-way against The Bar, Nakamura and Rusev, and Aleister Black and Ricochet. I talked about Black and Ricochet earlier on when I discussed TakeOver, and they are getting 3 title shots in the span of 6 days. I think that they should fall short here, and I think the Usos should retain, and I think Black and Ricochet should go their separate ways. So I'm going to predict the Usos to successfully defend against all of those teams at WrestleMania. The Usos also have to defend those titles in a fatal four-way because they forfeited against the New Day the week before. That was like Alexa Bliss's punishment. Why Alexa Bliss has this authority, I have no idea, but that's the story they use. So I guess technically the Usos could drop the belts here to The Bar again, or maybe even Nakamura and Rusev. And even though I wouldn't necessarily be against that, just a random title change to be thrown into Mania for no reason, so fuck it. Keep the belts on the Usos, and from what I can tell, there is no Raw tag team titles on the line. I don't even see the Revival listed for the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so who knows what the fuck is going on with them. I don't know if they're going to make a last-minute appearance, or there's going to be a last-minute kickoff title match or something like that, but as of right now, the Revival Raw Tag Team Champions are not on this card. We have the women's tag team titles also being defended in a fatal four-way. We've got Sasha and Bayley defending against Beth Phoenix and Natalya, Tamina and Nia Jax, and the Iconics. Much like the Usos, I don't know, I would just keep the belts on Sasha and Bayley here. It's a little bit too early in their run. Plus, they're facing 3 kind of random teams here. I would like to see these two go on a little bit of a run. They had such a long build to their partnership, and then their split, and then their reformation, and the whole deal. If they win the belts at Elimination Chamber, drop them 6 weeks later, just not ready for that. Think it's too early. I'm going to go ahead and say Sasha and Bayley retain in the tag team match. We have, tentatively, Samoa Joe defending the United States title against Rey Mysterio. Now, Rey suffered an injury on Raw, a legit one. As of right now, the match is still scheduled, but word is the match is in doubt. Rey Mysterio may not be able to make WrestleMania. Even if he does, he probably won't be 100%, so they might replace him last minute. If they do, I would go with Ali. I think him and Joe worked SmackDown together, right? Maybe Ali could be a suitable replacement for Rey Mysterio if he can't go against Joe. Ali is currently scheduled for the Battle Royal, so he could do double duty, or they could just pull him from the Battle Royal altogether. We also have Kevin Owens not booked for WrestleMania, so he, since he is technically a babyface, might be a good substitution for Rey Mysterio as well. So if Rey can't make the match, I would say Joe will defend against either Ali or Kevin Owens, and I think Joe will retain. Samoa Joe has had horrible luck, it seems like, in his big matches in WWE, coming up short in many of them. And now that he finally has gold around his waist, and I believe this will be his first WrestleMania, I don't want to see him drop the belt. So no matter who he defends it against, Rey Mysterio, Max Moon, whatever, I think Joe retains the U.S. title at WrestleMania. We also have Bobby Lashley defending the Intercontinental title against Finn Balor. Finn Balor will be the Demon. That was announced this past week on Monday Night Raw. I'm just ready to see the entrance. I think that's going to be badass. I wanted to see it last year. We didn't get it. This year we're going to get it, and I think the Demon entrance in a WrestleMania environment is going to be something to fucking behold, and I cannot wait to see that. And the Demon is undefeated in WWE. Yes, goddammit, I know he lost to TakeOver. Stop typing. But in WWE, on the main roster, he's undefeated, and he's won all of the matches that he's performed in as the Demon. So I think WrestleMania will be no different. He will win the Intercontinental title. That's what I want to see. Go Finn Balor, go Demon all the way. AJ Styles, one-on-one against Randy Orton. This one's going to be a dandy. I really enjoyed the segment between them on SmackDown. The whole build to this angle has been pretty good. They've had some pretty good promos together. And this past week on SmackDown, when they were both guests on the Kevin Owens show, AJ said that when I was competing in high school gyms, you were here in the company failing drug tests. Could not believe that line and loved it. There's been a couple of good lines like this during this build. Give AJ the victory here. I think there's going to be a lot of good spots. You know Randy Orton's going to counter the phenomenal forearm at least once with an RKO. I think it would be really cool if Randy Orton could counter the 450 splash into an RKO. That would be fucking incredible. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to go AJ Styles to win because I want him to. So AJ for the victory there. The Miz, one-on-one versus Shane McMahon. Another really well-built storyline, probably one of the better-built angles currently on this WrestleMania card. Shane is a pretty evil son of a bitch. Shane tends to come up short at WrestleMania a lot in these matches, and I don't think this is going to be any different. Miz is going to get his revenge against Shane. I would imagine that Shane is going to fall off something or dive off something or be thrown off something for the finish. Either Miz and Shane are going to be on the fucking roof and Miz is going to toss off Shane, or Miz is going to be laying on a table and Shane's going to jump from the scoreboard. I don't know what's going to happen here. The finish is probably going to be something like that. Wouldn't be surprised if the Miz's dad gets involved and assaults Shane in some way. This is a Falls Count Anywhere match, so you know they're going to wind up somewhere outside the ring with some crazy shit going down. But at the end of the day, I'm going to pick Miz to win that one. Kurt Angle, in his retirement match, taking on an Applebee's waiter. I cannot believe WWE went ahead with this match. I've been in denial ever since they announced it. I refuse to believe that Kurt Angle is going in there against this bag of fuck. I am still holding out just a sliver of hope that maybe John Cena comes out there and gets involved in this some way. This is how they closed out Monday Night Raw, too, by the way. I think the show went off the air with Kurt Angle putting Baron Corbin in the ankle lock on the stage. So it's looking like they're going with this match, but I think it sucks. I think John Cena would have made a much better opponent, a much more fun opponent. I would think Kurt Angle would win this match, but if Baron Corbin does win, think of the heat that's going to get this asshole if he winds up beating Kurt Angle in his final match. I'm still holding out hope. I tweeted this scenario a couple days ago that maybe Kurt Angle taps out Baron Corbin real quick, maybe beats Baron Corbin in record time at WrestleMania, and then gets on the mic and says, I have one more match left in me. I'm issuing an open challenge to anybody out there in the locker room. And then out comes John Cena to answer the open challenge. But instead of the John Cena that we know, 2002 John Cena comes out with those little red shorts and those red boots and that stupid gel in his hair and that generic theme music, and comes out there and wrestles Kurt Angle, and they recreate the 2002 moment, but instead of Kurt Angle winning, John Cena wins. They hug and share an embrace after the match. All of the fans cry. We say goodbye to Kurt Angle, and it's a beautiful moment. That is an awful lot to wish for. I have no idea what they're going to do here. If it is going to be Angle and Corbin, I'll go Angle. I'll go Kurt Angle, even though I think Corbin could actually win this. Maybe the WWE wants a feel-good moment for Angle, be sent off on a high note, and he can beat Baron Corbin. So I'm going to go Kurt Angle to pick up the win there. We have Roman Reigns against Drew McIntyre, one-on-one. This is a feud that I think is just getting started. I think this is the first of only a few matches these guys are going to have together, and I think Drew McIntyre will score a victory over Roman Reigns at some point during the program. I don't think it'll be at WrestleMania. I think Roman gets the initial win. He lost last year in the main event. He forfeited the title, had to battle leukemia. He's come back. I don't know in WWE's mind if they want to give him a loss at WrestleMania. I don't think there would be anything wrong with having Drew McIntyre win. We've seen this so many times before, especially with John Cena when he worked with Rusev and Wyatt. Those guys got victories over Cena in their program, but neither guy beat Cena at WrestleMania. Nobody got the biggest win, and maybe they learn from those mistakes and actually give Drew the victory here, because Roman losing at WrestleMania isn't going to do anything to him. He's still going to get title matches for the next 15 fucking years. But Drew McIntyre, a victory here would mean more for Drew than it would be for Roman. So I can definitely understand fans who want to see Drew McIntyre win and fans who are going to predict Drew McIntyre to win. But I'm going Roman Reigns. Sorry. I just feel like that's what WWE is going to do. We've got Triple H versus Batista. No holds barred. If Triple H loses, his in-ring career is over. So it is possible that we could have 2 retirement matches on this show. But I don't think so. I think Batista is coming back to give Triple H his victory back after all the times Batista beat him back in 2001. It's payback time for Batista, and he's going to put Triple H over. I hope the match is good. It's no holds barred, so it's going to have to be brutal. It's going to have to be hard-hitting. We should see some weapons, and we should probably see some blood. We might even get an appearance by Ric Flair. Maybe Flair hits the ring and hits Batista with a chair or something, and a little feel-good moment, and maybe Triple H and Ric Flair share a hug and celebrate in the ring after the match. That could happen. I just hope the match is good. I was not a fan of the last time Triple H had a WrestleMania match in this building when he faced Brock Lesnar and beat him. I hated that match, one of my least favorite WrestleMania matches in history, so I hope this match is different, and I hope his match with Batista is a lot better than his match with Brock, but I am predicting Triple H to get the victory there. We have Brock Lesnar defending the Universal title against Seth Rollins. Man, ever since Roman Reigns relinquished that title to leukemia, I've been saying Seth Rollins needs to be the guy to go to WrestleMania and face Brock Lesnar and beat Brock Lesnar for the title. Somebody on WWE's fucking roster, besides Roman, besides Cena, besides Triple H, and besides Goldberg, needs to hold a clean victory over Brock Lesnar. Somebody has to do this. And I think Seth, given the time he's put in with the company, what a good wrestler he is, the respect he has from the fans, and the fact that him and Brock have a ton of history already, dating back to WrestleMania 31 when he cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, I think Seth would be the perfect guy to be the new Universal Champion. That belt can be on Raw and defended on Raw on a regular basis. Here's the problem. Number 1, this match is not the main event. The women are. And number 2, we've got 3 big title matches here. Seth versus Brock, Kofi versus Bryan, and Becky versus Ronda and Charlotte. I personally do not see all 3 of these titles changing hands. I think somebody has to retain. I could be wrong. Seth, Kofi, and Becky could all walk out of the show as champion. I just don't see it happening. So I am going to reluctantly, extremely reluctantly, kicking and screaming with a tear in my eye, I'm going to predict Brock Lesnar to retain the fucking Universal title against Seth Rollins. I don't know how he could do it. He might just beat Seth clean, and that's it. WWE might throw a swerve at us. You know, what's Dean Ambrose going to do? Dean Ambrose could come out there and either help Seth Rollins. Maybe he could turn on Seth Rollins. Maybe Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns could both come out there and help Seth Rollins. Or maybe one of them could turn. And I know this is extremely far-fetched, but the idea did pop in my head, and I know we would all puke at this. I'm feeling the vomit coming up my throat as I'm about to say these words. But we could have a WrestleMania 9 moment. What if Brock Lesnar winds up beating Seth Rollins, and during the match, Seth is taking an ass-kicking, Roman Reigns comes down to ringside to kind of support his friend, winds up watching Seth get fucking annihilated by Brock and defeated, and then Heyman is going nuts, and Brock is super confident, and Brock even gets on the mic, he goes, "What do you think of your friend now, bitch? How about that, Roman? I just easily disposed of your friend. What are you going to do about it? I'm so big and badass, nobody can touch me. I've beaten everybody in this company. I am the greatest champion in WWE history, hands down, and I'm going to prove it to you by not only defending the title once at WrestleMania, but defending it twice. What do you say, Roman? I'll put the belt on the line right now. Come on in here, you little bitch. Come in the ring. Fight me for the belt." And then just like Bret Hart telling Hogan to go in the ring and face Yoko, you have Seth pointing to Roman, go do it, go get your belt. Roman hits the ring, spears Brock, wins the fucking title, shocks everybody, swerves everybody, and if you did do a finish like that, I definitely think I would change the outcome of the Drew McIntyre and Roman match and have Drew McIntyre go over. Just like Randy Orton beat Seth at 31, but then Seth walked out champion, Drew can beat Roman, Roman can walk out champion, and maybe Drew and Roman continue their feud with Roman as the Universal Champion. I know, don't freak out, please don't hunt me down and kill me, I'm just saying it's an option. They could do it. I don't want to see it. It scares me just thinking about it, but maybe they could go with some sort of a crazy swerve like that at WrestleMania. We could also see a heel turn. I would love to see Roman go heel. That doesn't necessarily have to happen at WrestleMania. They could do some sort of a swerve or some sort of a heel turn on Monday Night Raw the next night. Maybe all 3 members of the Shield are back in the ring and something crazy happens. We still don't know what's going on with Dean Ambrose, if we're going to see him on TV again or not before he, quote-unquote, departs, or if he re-signs last minute and gets himself mixed up in a big feud involving the Shield and the Universal title. So I had Seth winning all the way up until today. but I'm going to change it, and I'm going to go with Brock to retain the Universal title, and that scares me shitless. Daniel Bryan against Kofi Kingston. Kofi finally gets his opportunity. They had the contract signing on SmackDown, which I was not going to be convinced that this match was happening until Kofi put pen to paper. He finally did. It's official. Kofi versus Bryan. I love the match. I love the dynamic. I love the irony that Daniel Bryan is basically facing himself from 2014. Kofi has the exact same type of support from the fans that Bryan did, and Bryan is acting like the exact same type of heel that he had to deal with in 2014. The whole B-plus player bullshit and all of that. Kofi's rise came out of nowhere, spontaneously. Ali got a black eye. Kofi was put in his place. Fans realized that, holy shit, we would like to see this guy get an opportunity. And I think maybe WWE is actually designing things to go in that way. And I'm going to predict Kofi Kingston to beat Daniel Bryan and win the WWE title at WrestleMania. Kofi all the way. Go get him, my man. Bring you home some gold and celebrate with the New Day on SmackDown on Tuesday night. And I also think that would be an excellent way to open up SmackDown. I definitely think it's possible that Kofi could get screwed. We could get some more interference. We might see Luke Harper. We might see Vince McMahon pull some shit and fuck over Kofi. That's all possible. But I'm still going to predict Kofi to win the WWE title, which brings us to the main event. No surprise here. You guys have already heard me talk about it. Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte. Ronda and Charlotte's titles are both on the line from what we understand. That means it's a unification match. Stephanie announced on Raw that it would be winner take all. I don't know if that means winner takes both belts and both belts are still separate, or if that means winner takes both belts and both belts are now one belt. So I guess we really don't know the full 100% details on this, but it seems like it's a unification match to me. And at the end of the day, I think Becky Lynch does exactly what Daniel Bryan did at WrestleMania 30. And I think Becky Lynch taps out Ronda Rousey. I don't think Becky beats Charlotte. I think she beats Rousey. So for the purposes of the main event of WrestleMania, that crowd at MetLife, the main event, I think you have to have Becky Lynch win. How can you possibly do any other scenario other than that? If it's Charlotte holding up both belts with the fucking fireworks in New York City, are you out of your mind, WWE? You already fucked over the fans the last time you were there at 29 with that shitty-ass main event between The Rock and John Cena. Don't do it again. So I think Becky wins the title, holds up both belts, celebrates, confetti, the whole deal. It's going to be awesome. And there you go. So just to recap, my predictions for WrestleMania. I have Tony Neese becoming the new Cruiserweight Champion. I've got Asuka winning the Women's Battle Royal. I've got Apollo Crews winning the Men's Battle Royal. I've got the Usos successfully defending the tag team titles in the Fatal 4-Way. I've got Sasha and Bayley successfully defending their tag team titles in the Fatal 4-Way. I've got Samoa Joe retaining the U.S. title over whoever he faces. If it's not Ray, it might be Kevin Owens, might be Ali. Whatever they do, I think they should keep the belt on Joe. I've got the Demon winning the Intercontinental title over Bobby Lashley. I've got AJ Styles over Randy Orton. I've got The Miz over Shane McMahon. I've got Kurt Angle over the Applebee's waiter. I've got Roman Reigns over Drew McIntyre. I've got Triple H over Batista. I've got Brock Lesnar successfully retaining the Universal title over Seth Rollins. I have Kofi Kingston winning the WWE title from Daniel Bryan, and I have Becky Lynch walking out with all the gold in the main event. The only issue I have with that as I read off those predictions is that I've got a lot of baby faces winning. I'm probably going to be wrong on some of that. It is what it is. I'm sticking with it. Let's see how I do. I have got to get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your week. I cannot wait for this weekend. Like I said, make sure you follow me over on social media and stay tuned to the YouTube channel because I got videos coming to you every day and a whole lot of live streaming on Sunday. Be good, and I'll talk to you real soon. Until then, peace.
This has been a Good Mike Work Commentaries production. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/GoodMicWork. Follow Greg Morgan on Twitter @GoodMicWork and visit GoodMicWorkCommentaries.com for all the latest podcast and video content.